The Seattle Sounders returned to practice today after their impressive 4-1 win over St. Louis at Lumen Field. As expected, the players and the coaches were all in good spirits.
The text again that I sent you, and I was like, all right, hopefully I made sense, and I wasn't I read the text again that I sent you, and I was like, all right, hopefully I made sense, and I wasn't
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hey, Nuhu, I know you scored, but what was happening with the offense in terms of the final third there? You were able to push up. What was happening that made you guys so dynamic in the final third, in the second half?
Yeah, I mean, the message was good before the game. It was like we start to switch the information to 4-2-3-1 dynamic. It was top 5 on the back as a pass, so that's why we create more chances on the offensive side. So yeah, it was good to go more higher on the pitch, especially against St. Louis at home. So it's gonna be different tactic every time. That's also the message for Brian. That's why we have more freedom to go offensive side.
And then Ryan Kent's ability, because when he went to the touchline, that gave you room to go up there. That interplay you and him had, can you talk about that? Because sometimes he went wide, sometimes you went wide, like when you got the corner and the free kick there.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a different style of player. So between him and Paul loves to play to the line, and Ryan is a little bit more inside and got to stay a little bit wide too. So I think he's such a good player. I have a conversation with him when it comes for the Sanders, like what he like to do on the pitch. So it's very important for us to know what the player like. We need to be very welcome to the team. So he tell me that he love to go inside. That's why every time I have freedom to go on the side to create more chance for him. To be honest, in the past 6-7 years in my career in the Sanders, like I say, it's depends who you have in front of you. I play with Leo Show, I play with Paul, I play with a lot of players. It depends, like I say, in the first half, I've overlapped like one time because Paul like to stay to the line. I wanna make him feel comfortable. So with Ryan, it was more a little bit inside. That's allowed me to go a little bit wide. So that's why I was like, okay, I need to do that. So I'm happy to get that freedom. We started in training, and now just enjoy what I'm doing on the offensive side. To be honest, it's depends for who we have on the front. So I think most of the time, offensively, you have to be 3-4-2 because they want me to stay a little bit inside, especially at home. I think I'm gonna have more freedom to go wide, but away game is different. You're gonna be a little bit more defensively and try to protect the clean sheet first. So it's gonna be a different tactic. It depends on what Brian say before the game. So for that game, it was a little bit freedom to all the players to go a little bit forward. So that was the message for the group.
You know, normally when you have a bad performance, you look at it on tape, and it's a little better than what you thought because there's always emotion in sports. And you get tense. This one looked similar. It was a little bit better on tape than what we actually felt because everybody was happy and joy and knew whose goal and all that. But some of the tactical things that we were able to accomplish were good. And so when we reviewed the film today, we went over some of the, not just the goals, but some of the little details, devils in the details of what we did good in that game. Because we're going into a 3-game away from home stretch where the littlest detail might make the difference in getting points or not. Appreciate that comment. But look, he's a super talented player. So, how do we get him on the field? How do we reward Paul for his hard work? It's going to be competitions, and I wouldn't say it's just that position and Paul and Ryan, but Paul's first inclusion into the first squad. If you remember that game against Minnesota in Leagues Cup when Alex Roldan went down, and then he jumped on the right wing and he did pretty good. So Paul can fit different spots. Ryan is kind of more left wing, but there's good competition in multiple spots. Look, we're going to try and get them into as much training as they can for this 3-game stretch. Does he make the first game? Maybe. If he doesn't make the second game, chances are pretty good he'd make the middle game. And if he has a setback, then he'll for sure be ready by the last game, Portland. But we'll see. We're taking that on a day-by-day basis.
And just 2 more. Jackson seem to be full training, perhaps, and
no,
then
he's still in modified training. But he's on the same program. He's got to pass some tests this week, but he's close as well. If he doesn't make the first game, maybe it's the second. If it's not the second, I'm sure he'll be ready for minutes by the third.
And then he went in early. Is everything okay with Danny Musowski?
Yeah, that was planned. Everything's good there.
Hey, Brian, it looked on film, in my layman's view of it, that Christian Roldan really played an integral part, just up, down, sideways, and then can you just talk about his importance in the game?
We talked about Obed and Christian in their range. The final data, they were both over 12K. Their HID was very high. Their VHID was very high. So the two of them together make a pretty effective pair in running. But soccer is not just about running. It's about smarts and it's about technique and some of those things. So Christian and Obed had good games.
Did you have an emphasis on in the second half quick ball movement? Because that also seemed to make a difference, or that just organically happened?
That happened. When you get on top of teams and they were playing, 5-4-1, they had one forward up front, it made us easier to progress the ball into the attacking part of the field. And I think that kind of helped us with our rhythm to the game. And then once we got rolling, then the team looks good.
Tacoma, Portland tonight. More than just a win. What do you want to see from the Sounders head coaching eyes from out of a bunch of
a win? It's
but
full dead stop.
That's
Come
it.
on. I don't want to give away the lineup,
course,
but
yeah.
I'm looking at some of the guys that we're gonna put out there. I'm looking at the up-and-coming Snyders, Sebastian, Osaze. I'm looking for a competitive game, but man, I would love I'd love for an upset to happen, a cup set. That's the word I was searching for. I'd love for a cup set.
You gonna be there?
I'm going to be there for sure. I'm going to be in the beer garden with Marcus Hanneman.
Oh.
do you expect Timbers to have a pretty starting lineup?
I have no idea.
Do you just expect
Well, Phil, look, he's in a no-win situation because, if he brings his full crew and, he's got fixture congestion, if he brings a lighter crew and they don't win, it's a tough spot for Phil.
All right, so there you go. Some B-roll, and as you could see, you saw Jordan Morris, also Jesus Ferreira, and Jackson Reagan out there practicing. When asked about the 3, Brian Schmetzer said, you know what, look for Jackson and look for Jesus Ferreira to be back within the next 3 games, all on the road, and more so than likely game 2 and maybe game 3 is when those players will return. As whether I don't think either one of them will feature in Saturday's game at Houston. Also, Schmetzer, you heard from Nuhu, and he talked about the importance of not just, the team playing well. He said, I like to score goals, but that's not really his primary directive. It's really just about, the team playing well defensively. And it also talked about how his partnership with Ryan Kent. And when Ryan Kent got here, Nuhu said he talked to him about how does he like to play, which seems to be the theme right now as the team continues to gel. But the big news here today, one of the big stories was tonight's game with Tacoma Defiance taking on, of course, the Portland Timbers. And Brian Schmetzer was asked, well, what would you like to see from the young guys? And he said, a cup set. And with a smile, and the ever Seattle Sounders Portland Timbers hater would love, he said, I'd love to, for them to do that. But, he gave his compatriot, and he said, Neville is in a hard place, and you always are if you're an MSL coach. You win, you're supposed to, you lose. It's a big loss. But that's tonight at 7 p.m. at Starfire. If you haven't bought your tickets, it's also being streamlined. But really the story of the day here at Sound of Practice is the team is looking at a way to be consistent. And how can they continue on this unbeaten run that they're on? From Long Acres here in Renton, I'm Osvita Meyer for the CascadiaSports.net report. Thanks for watching, listening, and subscribing.